Hello, this is a follow-up to a Release, Breathe, and Restore workshop that I did over the weekend. We focused on areas around the spine. There's a video on the low back area, and this is going to be a little bit for the mid-back and this area right at the kind of side of the body, bottom of the shoulder blade. So if you raise your arm up, you can feel the tip of your shoulder blade. That's going to be one area that we're going to do some release work. We're going to do release work with 2 Yoga Tune-Up Therapy Plus balls. You can always use 2 tennis balls, just remembering that tennis balls were made to play tennis. Therapy Plus balls were made for self-myofascial release or self-massage. If you have other self-massage tools that you want to use, you can use that. A foam roller will also work. I like a soft roller versus a hard one. So the areas that we're going to do, again, bottom of the shoulder blade, kind of feel where that is, and your rib cage, the very side. Staying away from the armpit, staying away from the floating ribs and the waist. And then we're going to do the area between the shoulder blades with the balls across the spine. Where we'll start to assess how we're feeling is just simply laying on our back. So allow yourself to arrive and settle. Take a moment to close your eyes. Use your breath. Nice sighing exhale or settling exhale. Allowing your body to arrive here, allowing your brain and mind to arrive here. And check in with the area around your rib cage, the area around your shoulder blades. It's often an area that we don't really have a lot of connection to, especially our rib cage. And often the area around our shoulder blades or our shoulders, we just kind of think, oh man, that's usually tight. That's kind of all we know about it. So feel how you're making contact. Maybe even notice if there's a difference from right to left. And then notice this area behind the top of your shoulders. Do you feel like you're very rounded forward? Do you feel like you're very flat and arched? Do you just feel settled? Notice how that is. Also check in with how your hands are feeling. Our shoulders and our rib cage really affect our whole arm. And then when you're ready, getting that assessment, knowing how you feel, roll to one side. And we'll start with the 2 balls at that area at the bottom of the shoulder blade. It's going to go, again, horizontal here. If you need support for your head, you can always use a block. That can be a nice thing to have here. If the block feels too high, you can remove that and just simply use your bottom arm. However, since we're releasing the bottom arm, you may want to also just see if you can let your head rest on the ground. Listen to your level of comfort and what feels right for you. And just arrive here. This is an area that's pretty tender. Again, we don't tend to mobilize it or move it much, so feel what it feels like with the balls here. And then if you'd like, start to rock a little bit from side to side. Check in with how that feels. There's a lot of different layers here. We have our lat being most superficial. Below that, we have our serratus anterior. Depending on how far back you're rolling, you might also be getting to some of your teres major, teres minor, and infraspinatus, a couple of your rotator cuff muscles, and teres major being called your little lat. And then below this, we have our ribs, right? And again, behind we have our shoulder blades. So we have some bony things that we're kind of mobilizing a bit too. If that feels good or you're feeling okay there, see how it feels to maybe start to move the bottom arm a little bit. You can bend. Again, make sure you're not holding too much tension here for your head. If, as you're here, you feel like you just need a little bit of support for your head, you can always add that in. Especially with moving the arm, it might feel better to have your head in neutral. See what movement feels like. And then as you're ready, we'll move to a new spot, a little bit lower or a little bit higher. It doesn't have to be very far, but sometimes just a little bit of movement can make a really big difference. Again, decide where you want your head. If the balls move lower, you're getting a bigger side bend, so supporting the head might feel better. Rock. Knees can be stacked or staggered. Decide where you feel most comfortable, and then check in with your breath. Allow yourself to feel your ribs expand as you inhale and settle as you exhale. One more breath like that. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Come up slowly. Sometimes there's a little residual tenderness there. Same thing, other side. Might be different from side to side. Hand dominance, sport, daily life might determine that one side is a bit tighter or more used than the other. I tend to sometimes even just roll up and down to find like, where is the spot that I want to start? And then once I find a good spot, again, decide if you want your head supported or not. There's no specific right or wrong, just what is best for you today. And gentle rocking front to back. It can be a little speed bumpy in here, so decide if you want to pause on that speed bump and just breathe. Decide if at any point you want to add some movement in, the arms sliding up and down, elbow bent, rotating the hand up and down. And then again, moving the balls either down or up. Find a new spot, maybe a little bit more rocking, maybe again just some breathing and pausing. As you inhale, ribs expand. As you exhale, ribs narrow and contract. And again, taking your time to come up. For this one, you shouldn't need the block behind your head, but have it close by just in case you do. So again, we're going to start at the bottom of the shoulder blades and make our way up. This is an area that's hard for us to reach to, so we'll just kind of scoot on the mat. Again, balls are horizontal. Middle of the balls is right along your spine. Come down to your elbows first, as long as your shoulders can allow that. And then kind of snuggle onto the balls. Hands behind the head to give some support and really allow the weight of the head back. Legs, I tend to like to go bent. You can always go one leg straight, but sometimes that does create a little bit more tension on the low back or abdomen. And from here, see how it feels to allow yourself to extend over the balls and then a gentle curl up. As you extend over, as if you're moving from where the balls are, as you curl up, just a small movement again with the head supported, not a big core exercise or crunch, just going through this little bit of thoracic extension and thoracic flexion. Many of us get very restricted in here. And then take your time, use your feet to walk your body down so the balls move up, and we'll do the same exact thing, just at a slightly higher spot. And you'll start to feel that your segmental mobility can be very different from one area to the next. Again, head is supported. Decide how far back you can go. Sometimes I'll even add elbow movement with this, so as you go back, elbows widen if that feels okay. As you come up, elbows narrow. And then if it feels okay, as we start to get higher here, we'll move in one more spot. As we start to get higher here, the head may touch the ground. It's not the goal, but if at any point your head does touch the ground, you can allow yourself to settle. And again, just breathe here. Sometimes I'll let the elbows drop. That adds a little bit more of a stretch through the chest. Listen to how your shoulder responds to that, how your body responds to that. And ideally, this arch is happening where the balls are, not from the low back, right? So again, tune into your body. Gentle curl up. And then when you're ready, typically the easiest is just to roll off to the side, allow the balls to come out, lay onto your back again, and reassess how you feel. Things might feel broader, softer, flatter, closer to the ground. Things might feel no different. Things might feel a little achy, right? So listen, get to know your own body, your own practice, what feels right for you. And as you're ready, slowly come up, roll to your side. Take your time to assess how you feel in seated before you go back about your day. And thanks for joining.